Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my granny era. Today I'm sharing with you guys all of my pile of possibilities for March. Some of these things I'm definitely going to read. Some of them I'm not so sure. But I'm participating in quite a few reading events in March, and so I've got a big selection here of things that I may want to read for each one of those. So let's get right into that because there is a lot of books here. So let's start with March of the Mammoths. March of the Mammoths was created by Old Blues Chapter and Verse. And this will be the second year that I participated in March of the Mammoths. In fact, I think it was probably my first reading event when I started BookTube besides Historathon. It was my first monthly reading event. And so for March of the Mammoths, you got to choose something that is 800 or more pages. It could be fiction or nonfiction. It just needs to be over 800 pages, and read it during the month of March, or at least start it, right? You might not finish it, but you at least start it. So I kind of made a big mistake last year, and I chose a nonfiction. I chose London by Peter Ackroyd, and which was a good read, I mean, overall. But the thing is I was just so oversaturated already in my knowledge about London and the history and the stuff and the places and the underground and all the things that there wasn't a lot of new information in that book. And so it really slowed me down. I got really bored with it because I was just kind of reading things I already knew about. I mean, of course, there were a few things in there that were new to me, but for the most part, it was stuff that I was already familiar with. And so it wasn't a good choice for March of the Mammoths because it did not keep me moving along, and it just really slowed down my month. So I think that I need to choose a fiction, and that's what I'm going to do this year. I have 3 fiction choices. I actually have, well, I don't know. I have 4 mammoths on my pile of possibilities here, but one of them's for something else. I'll show you anyway. Okay, anyway. The first one I'm thinking about reading is Sarum by Edward Rutherford. You guys are going to have to tell me, how do you all say this in the UK? Do you say Sarum or Sarum? Because some of you call me Sarah and some of you call me Sarah. So I need to know how do you say this word that is so similar to my own name? But I actually read his book on London, and it's a similar style. I read that, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, which was probably the London book that I should have chosen for March of the Mammoths last year instead of the nonfiction. But anyway, and the way that his books go is he is telling the history of a place through a group of families, maybe 6 or 7 different families. And he starts off in super ancient times, the earliest record we have of that area. He starts there. In the London book, I think it was 7 different families. And so he tells the story of what it was like, or, in his imagination anyway, during ancient times there, and then every era of history up to the time that he finishes writing. So for the London book, it was the 1990s because, he finished it in the 90s. This one may be the same thing, finishing up into the 90s. But this one tells the history of the area of Old Sarum. I say Sarum, but then it sounds like serum, and it's just the whole thing. Okay. Maybe I do say Sarum because I think of Saruman. Anyway, help me out, guys. But I have driven by there once before. My husband and I took a tour of Stonehenge, and we had one of those tour buses that kind of went around Salisbury. And I think we took a bus from Winchester to Salisbury, and that route took us by here, Old Sarum. But as you can see, it has Stonehenge on the cover. This is a place that is at on or near the Salisbury Plain, and it will just tell the history of that area. So I'm kind of thinking about reading that one because I really, really, really like his writing style, and you just jump in, you just live there for a while. And that London book, I'm going to let a couple more years go by, and then I'm going to read it again because I really loved it. So I have another one by him also. This one is the story of New York. So same thing, starts in early ages and then goes up through different eras. So this one I might feel like I can get more into just because I don't know a whole lot about this area, of Sarum. But I know, about America a lot more. And even though I've never been to New York, I know you know, a ton about American history and all that. So I may get into this one a little bit more. Like, my goal is to not spend an entire week on it, right? I want to just knock it out in a few days and move on to all the other things that I want to read this month. So I really don't want something that I have to spend a lot of time on. The other book that I have, and I don't think that I'm going to do this one, but I do have it here. I'm just showing you like the 3 mammoths that I have on my TBR. This is The Great Alone by Janet Daly. This is a book. I talked about this in my last book haul video that I put out a couple days ago. This is the book that my mom recommended, and it tells, again, it's kind of one of those sagas. I guess all the sagas got to be mammoths, but it tells the story of people who settled Alaska and different generations of people from several different areas, Russia, America, Indian, and English. And then it goes through like 7 generations of these people who settled in Alaska. So that is also a choice. I'm just hesitant because I think there's going to be romance, and I'm just not a romance reader, but I don't know. We'll see. The 4th one that is on my pile for another reason is Fanny Burney's Cecilia. And I really don't think I want to read this one either, but it is probably my biggest mammoth in the whole deal here. It's over 1,000 pages. So we'll talk about that one a little bit more in a minute. All right, so that's the March of the Mammoth possibilities. And I know I really need to narrow it down here. And I will. After this video, right after this video, I will narrow it down. All right, and then the next event is a middle grade March. Now that one is hosted by, this says, oh, I only put the ats. I didn't put the actual names of the people. I apologize. Books and Jams, Life Between Words, and On the Middle Shelf. I think I saw it on Books and Jams channel, but I'm not sure. Anyway, those are the 3 hosts that I have written down here. And middle grade March is basically you just read things that were written with the intention, you know, of appealing to kids in middle grades. So I don't know what that is, like 4th through 7th-ish. I don't know, like 9 to 12-year-olds. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But my kids are all homeschooled, and we don't really do grades. We just kind of do like, you know, okay, you're 18, you can be done now, sort of a thing. So I don't really know what the grade levels compared to the ages are. And I went to school really early. Like, I graduated early. I started early, and, you know, so I was always like the youngest kid in class. But anyway, you guys get the idea. So I have 4 books here for middle grade March. Now, 2 of them were on my TBR, and 2 of them I purchased with the intention of using for this event. I've never done middle grade March before, and I don't read a whole lot of middle grade fiction at all, but I have a ton of it because, like I said, I homeschool and I got a ton of kids, so I've got shelves and shelves and shelves of middle grade books that I could choose from if I really get in the mood, but I have these 4 here. I'm going to try to at least work through them. The first one here is called The Lost Fairy Tales by Anna James. This is book 2 in a series that it's just basically about this little girl who, I think, like, her aunt and uncle or grandparents she lives with, and they have a bookstore, and so she travels through the books with her favorite characters to, like, solve mysteries and fix things, maybe. But this one on the cover has Jack and the Beanstalk and Little Red Riding Hood. It has a picture of the Eiffel Tower and a bowler hat. So I'm not exactly sure who all will feature in this one, but it's a quick read, and I did like the first one, and I was reading these to kind of like screen them for my couple of my girls a couple of years ago, and I don't know if they've outgrown them now, but I'm gonna enjoy it anyway. All right, and then next up I found this in a little free library. This is Lois Lowry's The Willoughbys. I had never seen this before, but I like other things by Lois Lowry, and so I thought that I would just go through this. It's a real short little read, and but yeah, I had never heard of that before. Next up is a book that I found, where did I find this? At a thrift shop. This is called The Breadwinner by Deborah Ellis, and this, I guess, is a part of a series for children that talks about how different, from what I understand, it talks about how different children around the world help provide for and support their families. So this one takes place in Afghanistan. This little girl's father got in trouble for stealing, and so she actually has to, like, disguise herself as a boy and go out to try to you know, make some money or get some food or whatever for her family. So I thought that would be interesting. I know nothing about Middle Eastern culture, hardly at all outside of Israel. I really don't know a lot. And so I thought it would be a nice introduction for me just to kind of get a feel for, you know, at least a portion of Middle Eastern culture without, you know, in an easy way, right? So I'm just getting a little taste. And a lot of times I do that on things that seem overwhelming to me. I will just read a kid's version, right, for a little bit and just kind of hang out in the kids section and get a feel for whatever the topic is before I tackle something at my level. And then kind of on that same vein there, I got this one, Everything Sad is Untrue by Daniel Nayeri. And this one, I think it's supposed to be kind of autobiographical. I've seen this on a couple of different channels. People have recommended it. And so I went ahead and bought it. But basically there's this kid and he comes from Iran to Oklahoma. I don't know if he is, you know, a refugee or what. The author immigrated to Oklahoma from Iran as a kid, and it sounds like this guy is in Oklahoma as well. And I think that the idea of the story is it's kind of a riff on Arabian Nights with the 1001 Tales, because this kid is like telling all these stories to his classroom, and they're weird and they're out there and they're totally unrelatable, right? Because these are a bunch of farm kids from Oklahoma, and then he's like, you know, a guy from Iran. And so, you know, there's just, I don't know if you've ever been to Oklahoma, but we live right next door, and there's not a lot of people that, you know, are from Iran who live in Oklahoma. It's just a lot of farm kids. So anyway, so it sounds like the kid tells a lot of stories and, you know, whatever. It's just, I think, supposed to be funny. We'll find out. We'll see what I think of it. But I love this cover art because it's like a tornado, right? So for Oklahoma, but then it has all of these just different elements of both Middle Eastern and American life. The different buildings up there at the top. They've got the cow, but then they have a car. They've got these birds. Down here at the bottom, I don't know, I don't have my glasses on, but you know, you get the idea. It's just, there's like a suitcase. There's just these different things all sort of up in this tornado, and then this kid sitting on the roof. So I think I'm going to enjoy that. I hope I do. All right, so those are my things for middle grade March. And then also, I guess I can add Secret Garden to it. The Secret Garden is my read for the Children's Classic Read Along this month. So each month I do a different children's classic for a read along. I'm just doing that throughout this year. You guys can check that out. There's a Discord link down in my description box, and that's where we're talking about the different children's classics we're reading. It's a pretty new Discord channel, so there's not a ton of people on there talking, but you know, it's growing. This is how you grow. But anyway, this is the read, and that's kind of funny because this is actually the read for a couple of other events as well. It is the group read for the middle grade March event, and it is also a book that qualifies for the challenges that Anne from In Search of Wonder put up for her channel this year. So she is doing a classics read along, and this month the prompt is to read a children's book. Each month she has a scavenger hunt, so there'll be like 3 terms that you're supposed to look for these things, right, in your reading. So this month the keywords that we're supposed to look for are siblings, a mother, and a pet. So you're supposed to read stuff that features those things, a children's classic book. Well, the Secret Garden features all of those, right? And it all has to do with Dickon, right? Dickon's mother plays a big part. Dickon and his sister both play a big part. And then Dickon has all kinds of pets. And then I guess you could technically say there is a robin that sticks around the garden. So maybe that becomes Mary's pet as well. But Dickon definitely has all kinds of animals and things that are very close to him. So this one just kind of ticks all those boxes. Another reading event that Anne is hosting at In Search of Wonder is the Jane Austen 250th birthday celebration. And so each month there is a read-along book, and this month it is Fanny Burney's Cecilia. So it definitely fits for March of the Mammoths. Like I said, it's probably the biggest mammoth I have, and I just don't know if I want to commit. Like, I want to read this. It has been on my shelf for a couple of years. I've got a bunch of Fanny Burney stuff and I just haven't read anything by her. I had planned to maybe read something of hers in Feb Regency and just didn't get it because I kind of went on this Mary Shelley kick and stayed there. But what I'm thinking, let's see, this is the 27th. It really wouldn't matter all that much. I was going to say, I could start it now because then it could be a Feb Regency read and then it just sort of rolls over into March of the Mammoths. And then I could read a Rutherford as well. But I am kind of still reading something else, so I don't really know. I'm not sure. I might read a little bit of it and see if I get hooked on the story. And then if so, you know, this might be my read. But I am going to read it one of these days. I just don't know when. All right, next is an event I'm really excited about because we have Jane Austen in July, but we haven't had a Bronte event as far as I know. Well, Melinda at A Web of Stories started a March event called March on the Moors. And I'm just like, yay! In my own mind, I was kind of thinking of doing a Bronte event one of these days, but I'm glad that she did this because I probably just think about it for a really long time and then eventually do. So anyway, all you got to do for this one is to read a Bronte novel. She actually has a few prompts, but the main deal is, right, read the Bronte novel. So she also has read a biography of a Bronte, read a retelling of a Bronte novel, and watch an adaptation of the novel. So those are her different prompts. So I'm going to kind of go with that a little bit. I have on my list for March Mystery Madness this book, and this is The Vanished Bride, a Bronte Sisters mystery by Bella Ellis. I don't know where I got this. I've never seen any others, like if it's a series or anything like that. I just saw it and was like, Brontes, take it. So I guess this doesn't really meet any of her actual prompts, but it's on the moors, right? So we're going with that. So I think I will read this one for that. And then the group read for that is Agnes Grey. Now, I read Agnes Grey about 10 years ago. It's by Anne Bronte. And I read this about 10 years ago. And I went back and I read my notes for it. And I didn't love it at the time. But my notes also sounded super, like, superficial and immature. And so I think I'm going to read it through again. It's just like, it's an evening read, right? And I'm going to go through this again. But just to, like, let you know how long I've had this book cost me $6.95 at Barnes & Noble whenever I bought this. Wouldn't that be great to go to Barnes & Noble and buy a book for $6.95? All right, anyway, little side note. So those are what I have set aside for the March on the Moors. And technically, these Bronte books do actually count for the next event I'm going to talk about, the Irish and Celtophile reading events, because the Brontes were actually Irish. So there is also taking place the Irish Readathon and the Celtophile Readathon, which I'm kind of just lumping my books together for that because they have similar prompts and, you know, they're similar. So I have 4 actually picked out for that, and I don't think that I'm going to read all 4 of these. But I was just kind of going through my TBR to see what I had in that vein. I have St. Patrick of Ireland, a biography by Philip Freeman, which I've had on my shelf for a really long time, so I'd really like to read that. I have this book called The Irish Way, A Walk Through Ireland's Past and Present by Robert Emmett Gina. And this looks like it's just travel literature, which I love travel literature. I love travelogues. So that will be a nice book. I'll probably just put this one in my purse and I'll just read it while, like, my kids are running into the store or I'm waiting for my daughter to get off work, or just, you know, I spend a lot of time in the car, and so I might just save it for that, because it's just like one of those things you can dip in and out of, right? I got this book, Patrick the Pilgrim Apostle of Ireland. Forgive me, but I'm not going to try to pronounce her name in disrespect because I can't. But this book, and I got a while back, I got this for my birthday, and it looks like it is the writings of Patrick along with this commentary. I'm not exactly sure. Different people's commentary, maybe, and just explanations around his writings. So I think that I will enjoy that. but it might get a little complicated. I'm not sure. But I've noticed I have just kind of like this jump in reading comprehension lately. And that's exciting. And so I feel like I need to challenge myself a little more than I have been. Okay, and then I thought that was my pile, and then I looked over and I saw Dubliners by James Joyce, which I don't think I've ever read anything by James Joyce. Which, speaking of that, I just have to go on this little side tangent because lately I have been hearing so many people say Ulysses instead of Ulysses. That's great. Is it Ulysses? Like, have we Americans just been saying it wrong this whole time? Ulysses? Like Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses. Right? Yeah. But all my UK friends are saying Ulysses. And I'm like, oh, that's like a whole new world. All right. Anyway, that's the fourth read I think I will read for the Irish, Celtophile, St. Patrick's, etc. Theme this month. Oh, and forgive me, I should mention the creators. So the Celtophile one is created by Nicole's Bookish Nook, and the Irish Readathon is hosted by Words of Clover and Leon Rose, and I will put their information, everybody's information, even if I forgot to mention, I will put all that stuff in the description box so you guys can join these readathons. I'm going to get this up tonight, so you'll have 1 day left of February. If you haven't heard of any of these readathons, to go check out your TBR and add some things to it. Okay, and then I think the last thing I have is March Mystery Madness. Now, I saved that for last because I have a lot of mystery books here, and I want to read all of them. So, first up is, I think these are all of my Agatha Christie's that I have not yet read, that I own. So, here in this pile, I have just a stack of all kinds of, well, that one's not one. Okay, all kinds of just mysteries, which most of them are Poirot. This one, the ABC Murders, my husband and I just watched this on TV the other night, so I can definitely read that one. But I gotta go through and kind of match these up to see which ones I've already watched, because I want to watch them first. And then, which isn't normally the thing, right? Usually you want to read it first, but I like to watch them first on Agatha Christie, on the Poirot, and on the Miss Marple. So this is a Miss Marple nemesis. I've seen that one for sure. But I think the Murder of Roger Ackroyd was spoiled for me by Lucy Worsley, thank you, in her biography of Agatha Christie, which is really irritating. But I think the rest of these are all Poirot. Yeah. Okay. Actually, this one has Poirot and Miss Marple in it. So there's those. And then I have this neat vintage edition from my mom. She sent to me of Murder on the Orient Express. And then I have this book that my daughter and I found recently. This is a book of Miss Marple's short stories, which I did not even know that was a thing. And then there's this little paperback that is a autobiography that she wrote called Come Tell Me How You Live. And it is about her travels with her husband on his different archaeological digs. So Agatha Christie was married, her second marriage, to this guy who just spoiled her rotten. He took her on he was an archaeologist. He took her on his different adventures to different countries. He took her on his digs. He even had a writing hut made for her, so she would have a place to sit and write while he was out doing his little digs. There was even a sign above the door indicating that it was her writing hut. And this guy just spoiled her, which I think is fantastic because she was married to a real creep before him. And then the, creepy man left her for another woman. And then she ended up marrying like 10 years younger than that guy and 10 years younger than herself. And I'm just like, yay, go you, right? She just ended up having a really great, not even an ending, right? Because she just had so much of her life ahead of her, and she got to spend it with somebody who really treated her well. And so, anyway, this talks about that time. It looks like it's talking about some time in Syria, and just some of the people that she, the culture and stuff. So I'm looking forward to reading that for sure. Not a mystery, right? But about a mystery writer, so it works. All right, and then lastly, I just have this pile of random mysteries. I have a lot of mysteries on my TBR, which is interesting because I don't feel like I actually read a lot of mysteries, but I like them if they're not creepy, gory, weird, sad, don't involve children. Like, I'm kind of picky, but it's fine because there's like zillions of different options out there, right? So I picked up this book, Miss Austen Investigates. This is The Hapless Milliner. So this is the first book, I think, in the in Miss Austen Investigates series by Jessica Bull. And this is a UK author. I found out about her from Katie at Books and Things. And so I got this first book in the series. If I like it, then I'll order the next one. So read that. You know, there's a lot of series out there actually that has Jane Austen being like a detective. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's one of them. Here's another one. This is by Carrie Bebris. And I've read both of these before. So we've got Suspense and Sensibility and Pride and Prescience. I've never said that word before, but the YouTube videos that I watched, one after another to try to see what the consensus was, the consensus says it's prescience. So I don't know if there are any more in this series. I bought these for the first time a long time ago when they were coming out, and then I never saw any more coming out. And these are actually published by 2 different publishers, so I don't really know what happened with her, but I'll have to look and see if she has any more in this series. But I might reread these. Those aren't definite. That's just kind of a might because it's been so long since I've read those. And then there is also a series that I have books like 2, 3, and 4 of, and it's the series by Stephanie Barron that has Jane Austen as a detective, but I don't have book 1 yet. So if I can come across that, I may do that this month, but probably not. I've read those before, and it was quite a while ago, so they seemed really overwhelming, but I don't think that they would be now, so I'll probably give them a try again. And then when I was reading the biography of Agatha Christie, it talked about other like writers contemporary to her, and Dorothy L. Sayers was one of them. And so when I was at Thrift Shop, I found 3 Dorothy L. Sayers actually, but one of them just completely disintegrated in my hand. So this one is A Natural Death, and the other one is called Busman's Honeymoon. It looks like her detective is named Lord Peter Wimsey. And I don't know if I have to read her books in order at all, so I'll have to look into that. But yeah, let me know. I'm sure there's people out there who are familiar with her. I've just never read hers. And then I just have 3 more that are just random that I just found at the thrift shop, you know, like 10 cents. I'm like, I'll grab it. So this is the first in the Rice Bowen, Her Royal Spinus. I read these so long ago, and I liked them at the beginning, and then they just started getting ridiculous, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to read this anymore. But I did like the first one. I think they're set like in the, they're set at the time when it was, you know, the guy that ran off with Edward VIII, ran off with Wallis Simpson, right? It's set during that time. So what is that, like mid 30s and into the late 30s? So anyway, I can't even remember what it's about, but I remember I liked it. And then these 2, like this one, I just got them because they were bookish related. So this one says Homicide in hardcover, and I don't know. I guess I can't say I don't like murder mysteries because I love Agatha Christie, but it just depends. I don't want it to be really gory. And then this one is Wuthering Heights. Besides that, I am still reading with the group that is doing the Arabian Nights, 1001 Nights read along. I can't remember exactly how many nights we are reading in March, but it's like 20 something. So I'm still doing that. And then also, if I'm in the mood, I read stuff for Historathon quarter 1, but I don't know. For some reason, this quarter 1 is just not my cup of tea. I was really excited about it, and I got some stuff for it, and I started in, and then now I'm just not really enjoying it as much. But I'm really excited for quarter 2. I've got a ton of really great reads. Like, I might not do any reading events besides the Historathon for quarter 2 because I just have so many things I want to read. But I hope that inspired you all. Let me know if you guys have read any of this stuff. Are you doing any of these events? Do you want to do any of these events? Or do you just want to say hi? I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.